So, if you guys don't know, Multiversus' Twitter account has finally broken radio silence. It is their first time making a tweet of kind of any sort in the last 9 months about. Multiversus shut down its beta June 25th of 2023, and currently it's March 5th, 2024, and they made a tweet a couple hours ago. So, to me, as somebody who's been kind of keeping up with what has been happening, nothing. I take that as it's finally time for them to start talking about and bringing the game back to the public eye. All of the things that they have been working on is about ready to be shown. And I just want to talk about some of the stuff that I liked about Multiversus before, and some of the things that I would be looking forward to when it comes to Multiversus' return. Now, one of the big things that I actually am really excited about, I talked about this earlier today with a friend, and that is Evo. So I'm just saying, it's March. It looks like Multiversus could be coming back before the summer, and there might be potential for Multiversus to, have something at Evo again. And it's already happened once. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again, even though Evo has already announced its games. It was kind of a really big community event when it was at Evo, so I personally am just really hoping that that does happen. I think it would be great both to push Multiversus back into the main spotlight where it once was, and not only that, just showcase the new version of Multiversus. So I'd be really happy if there was something like that. This isn't me confirming anything, it's just something that I did think of, and I think it could be awesome. It definitely make me happy. I think it'd make a lot of people happy to see it on a stage such as Evo once again. So outside of Evo, one huge thing that this is something that I would just want with the game coming back. It wasn't there in the initial game, and it was kind of shaky when it did arrive, is ranked. With original Multiversus, when it came out, there wasn't really a ranked. There was a ladder, which kind of had its own MMR system. It was kind of tough to actually upkeep it, whereas if there was an actual ranked, it'd make it a lot easier. And I know that with Multiversus, when it first came out, there was a lot more as it released, there was a lot more of a system being made, and ranked kind of finally became a thing. But they the way they released it was pretty bad, in my opinion. They released it as a beta, and then they took it back, and then they re-released it, and it's you can't make us wait that long for ranked, and then you finally give it to us, and then you just take it away. I was like, it just wasn't nice. So I hope that is something that they have been working on a lot. I know even for the people who aren't trying to go to tournaments, having a good ranked mode is a really good thing, because it's just somewhere where you can put your skills to the test, And if you don't want to do it, there's always just quick play, the casual modes, and it's more so it helps the people fulfill that itch of, maybe I am getting good, maybe I can hang with the top players, So I do hope that ranked is a thing when it does come out. I mean, honestly, I think that would pull in a lot of people. How many more patches? Yeah, character balancing was kind of tough. I don't actually think that's something that I would touch on very much, because, end of the day, characters will be strong. Evo meta was pretty ridiculous, but that was also an early game meta where the game is so young and you have such a massive pop bonus. Of course, people are just going to pick the best characters. On that current patch, the meta could have developed a lot, but when you force people to compete at a high level immediately, we're not trying to develop the meta, we're trying to win. So of course there are certain patches where things will be pretty nuts, but Multiversus did have a pretty decent patch cycle until it didn't. So hopefully the patch cycle stays a lot more of a consistent, where if something is problematic, it can be dealt with, and hopefully they can try to buff up some other characters, which they have done it a lot. But I think a great example would be Garnet. Garnet was pretty bad, in a bad shape for a majority of the game's lifespan. So hopefully things like that don't happen. I'm sure that they did learn how they want to balance the game. It's okay to have good characters, it's okay to have bad characters, but that drought of patches for a bit was kind of tough. I do remember that. While Multiversus has been gone, I've clearly talked to a lot of people about it. I miss the game a lot, and so do a lot of big content creators, a lot of my friends. A lot of people miss the game a lot, so I've heard a lot of opinions. And one thing that kind of got brought up that I didn't really think too much about is if there could be potential balancing differences between 1v1s and 2v2s. And I think that could be really interesting because they're completely different games. They don't play on the same field. And having to play certain things in ones that are like kind of good in twos, you know, it doesn't really work out too much. So I do think it'd be really cool to see if there was certain balance changes between ones and twos. I'm not the biggest fan of like big character changes when it comes to that. Like, oh, you know, this character does 14% with this attack in twos, but in ones they do 15%. I wouldn't want something like that personally. So the thing that I was actually thinking was if certain perks could get a bit of a rebalance when it comes to like 1v1s. And I think that could be a good way to make it so the ones meta ends up being a little different than the twos meta, make it so your character does end up being a little bit stronger when it comes to playing ones, as it did feel like the perk system heavily benefited the 2v2 gameplay. So I think if there were some type of balancing, I think it would be cool if it took the route of the perks versus like the actual characters. I also like that there are different 1v1 specific stages. I think that isn't something I really touched on, stages in general. Honestly, I like the stages a lot. I think they did the stages really well. I hated Treetop until the end of time. Mansion grew on me, but it still sucked sometimes. There was a lot of things that I liked about the stages, and you know, sometimes on some of the other stages I was like, okay, maybe I just have to pick a different character here. Ultimately, I think they did the stages really well. Before this, I was talking about the mechanics of the movement in general. I think movement was really good. Multiversus movement was really fast. You could do almost anything out of dash. Moving through the air, canceling your air dodges, all of it felt really good. But sometimes it just felt like characters were zipping everywhere, whether we had like dodge meter or not. We were just moving, and it made it really hard to track certain people down. It made it so the game in general was just like really fast, and I'm happy with that. I love playing fast games, especially when it comes to platform fighters. So I would like it if it could still be really fast, but not to the degree of like when you get better at the game, it's like everybody's doing all of these movements all the time. And it didn't feel like a melee thing where it's like, you know, wave dashing, L canceling. It didn't feel like that. It felt more like Nasby 1, where it's like, okay, if I'm going to do an attack, I should try to do this, the air dash down, you know? If I want to like move forward and like try to recover, I should try to do this. And of course, from my point of view, there are a lot of ways to deal with these things, but I would like it if they were easier to deal with. Because if it's easier to deal with, you know, the people at the top will still be able to deal with it, but I would like it if it was a lot easier for the overall player base to deal with how strong dodge was, how like fast certain characters were. Like, dude, I remember sometimes like I'm trying to run away from Superman and dude is literally like, I wouldn't say flying across the stage, he is zipping across the stage to get to me. So I'd like it if it was easier across all the skill levels to deal with how fast Multiversus can be. So I think this is a pretty big thing that I would love to see, and this kind of got brought to my mind because I was talking about the speed of the game. But I would like to see the online be really good. When the online wasn't too great and the game is as fast as it is, it feels like everybody was just teleporting around. You know, it felt like everybody was teleporting. It felt like it was really hard to play a game that was primarily played online. You know, it had such a big player base. I think when the game felt good online, the game felt so amazing. It felt so amazing, and I felt like I was chasing that high of the good online like so often. Even if I played with like 4 people from West Coast, it was still really hard. So I would love if either, you know, if the online stayed the way it was, which honestly it was still pretty good, but I think I'm easy to please. I don't think I'm the guy to ask about that. But if the pacing was a little slower, it would make that old online still feel like probably a little better, just because it's easier to deal with things in general. But if the online were better and the pacing was like a little easier to deal with, I think that'd be like super duper optimal. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I would like a little bit of extra for the people who bought the Founders Pass. Now, the Founders Pass, one, don't get me wrong, the game was out for quite a long time, but it does feel kind of weird to have bought the Founders Pass and then have the game go offline for as long as it did. And honestly, that's just not a good feeling. You know, it's not a good feeling for the consumer. It's not good that we did pay so much for something, and you know, maybe we are getting something extra, maybe we aren't, because we did get like collectibles and such, but you know, not even being able to use any of that for so long just feels very bad. It's the best way to put it. So I would like for sure if there was something extra added in to be like, hey, you know, yeah, we know that kind of sucked, so we're just giving a little bit more. I just think that'd be a good thing. Hopefully that is something that they are thinking about, because a lot of people are very bummed about that. And you know, I think it could be something really cool. You know, maybe it's like a specific, there's a lot of stuff they can do. There's a badge, you could get a skin, you could get another banner, like a banner that says like OG, but only the Founders Pass guys get it. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that would make the people happy. As long as something gets done, I think that'd be really good. Now, the last thing, we did talk about this a little before. This is the best case scenario. A story mode that intertwines all of the MVS characters. I think that'd be so sick. There's like such a low % chance of this happening, but like, what if? What if? I think that'd be so cool. I love the single player aspect of platform fighters. I'm sure we can always talk about like Subspace being the peak of it. And there's just so many characters getting crossed over into Multiverses that having a story mode with them would go above and beyond. I know it's a big ask. I know it's probably unlikely to happen, but I think that would just be so cool. If not that, at least expand on the casual modes a little bit. I think it's fun to get a little silly when it comes to playing platform fighters. I think that's a big part of the appeal. And I think if the casual modes got expanded a little more, I think that'd be really cool. I also would very, very much like if there was a lot more interactions between the characters. I think that's another thing that makes Multiverses have a lot of its charm. Just hearing like, Superman, I don't want to fight you, Diana, but I will. Like little things like that, I think add a lot of the charm to MVS outside of the characters just being in it. So I would love to see a lot more crossovers like that. I have no idea what's coming up with Multiverses. I don't even know when they're going to announce things. This is all off of a tweet, and honestly, I think a tweet is more than enough to begin my re-excitement for Multiverses coming back. So yeah, ultimately, I mean, I would love if something happened even later today, even later this week, even later this month, as we are ending the first quarter of 2024, and if I could go into the second quarter playing Multiverses, that'd be the best case scenario. But yeah, if there's if there's anything that you guys would like to see in Multiverses, please don't be afraid to let me know, whether that's in these comments, whether that's in the YouTube comments. Please, I mean, I'm just happy to talk about the fact that Multiverses could be back, and it could be back very, very soon. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. See you guys later.